I am seriously considering to break up a 5-year relationship with my girlfriend because she is drunk too often. I just can't stand it anymore. I love her, I really do. When she's normal I really think we are the perfect fit. She's funny, cute, attention and charismatic. We do have very different personalities but we complement each other real well and I often think she really is the person I want to spend my life with and have children with. We live together since 2019, and we very rarely fight over stuff. We tend to communicate real good and are often willing to make efforts to understand each other and be a better couple. Just writing this about her makes my eyes water thinking it's probable we can't be together because of alcohol. Anyway, I have gotten to know her pretty well over the years. We have an open relationship, free to have sex with whomever / with some rules, since a couple of years and it has all gone pretty smoothly for the most part. However, since she lost her job about 8 months ago and the lockdown started to lift up, she has been having lots of free time, while I still work remotely at home, and she started going out more with friends. I go out less than her since I don't have much friends in the city we live in. I'm not from this country / city and I'm more of an introvert. She lives in the city where she comes from, and has lots of friends. The friends I have are also her friends, and they are closer friends to her than to me. So anytime I drink alcohol, she also does. However, it's not the other way around. Whenever she's out alone with her friends, I'm most likely at home, and she's out. This doesn't bother me by its own. I usually can be at home alone and have a good time anyway. Even though I have acknowledged to her having a FOMO issue and sometimes getting anxious of not being around with her. And if she's not drunk then I'm okay with everything. At the beginning of the last summer she started to arrive home really drunk and late often, on weekends and weekdays. After some time I started to see this bothered me a lot. When she's drunk, she is not the same funny, lovely and charismatic girl she is all the time. She transforms into someone I do not recognize anymore. She becomes clumsy, idiotic, she doesn't speak clearly, she stares at me with a pair of empty lost eyes. She can't pronounce any word correctly. She fails to speak, she fails to walk, she fails to stand still. She stumbles. She makes a mess. She usually wants to eat after drinking and she eats like a freaking pig, putting food all over her face and all over the place. Her makeup is usually out of place, her breath stinks and she becomes just some random drunk person I have to deal with at home. On a couple occasions she wouldn't answer her messages late at night, without warning me she wouldn't get home early. Not knowing where or with whom she was. Leaving me home alone waiting for her, sometimes calling friends of friends trying to figure out her whereabouts. Then there's the hangover, waking me up with the sounds of puking in the bathroom. Her not waking up till 1 p.m., not being able to do anything the next day since she's too tired and sick. It is just so annoying, inappropriate and very uncomfortable. We usually set up ground rules for whatever we think is important. For our open relationship, rules for our home, for our couple and simply stuff that we want in our lives. After realizing this bothered me so much, I suggested to set up the rule that she must answer my messages when she's out since we live together and it's only common sense to inform the people you live with on your whereabouts. She agreed with this rule and since answers all the messages I send to her. When she continued with the drinking and being drunk, I set up the rule of no more binge drinking if I'm not also drinking. I told her all of these feelings and all of the stuff that made me so uncomfortable. But I also told her that when I drink with her, I don't see this the same way, since I'm also a bit drunk and we usually have a very good time when we drink together or with other people. I reminded her that rules work both ways, and that if I demand that of her is because of course I will also respect that rule for her. I won't ever get drunk if she's not drinking with me. Which I didn't. Months went by, I kept my word. But she didn't. There's been some days which are definitely worse, and we have been having more and more heavier talks on this drinking issue. We came to agree that I was to also make an effort to let her have her freedom. She says that I just need to chill out and find some friends so that I too can drink with other people while she's out so that I don't care that she's drunk. So she came back to being drunk a couple of times. And I decided to let it go by. 2 weeks ago, once again, she didn't come home until 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. I worked the next day at 9 a.m. I told her this was definitely becoming something very heavy for me to manage. And that if it didn't change, the only solution I see to not breaking up our relationship is at the very least we don't live together anymore, and each go to a different apartment. That way she could do whatever she want and I wouldn't be home to experience all the side effects. I usually get really mad and annoyed when she breaks this drinking rule and I'm very crude with my wording. I rather sometimes we text over talking since it makes it easier not to let emotions drive out the talk. But I always try to stay rational and try to find real solutions and real changes that can help. She, however, cries every time I talk about this subject and she has trouble wording her needs and her feelings. Her side of the story once she's sober usually is that she is actually doing efforts towards stopping to being drunk, but I don't see them. That I should start to see those efforts before asking anything more. And that also I should keep on doing my efforts of giving her freedom. By setting up bar meetings with friends and drinking, or doing sports, or whatever. She actually doesn't care, she just wants to be free. And I do see her efforts, she answers my texts, which is nice but hey, it's just normal. She sometimes goes out and doesn't arrive drunk as hell but just on a couple of beers, which is also nice but also just normal. And finally she gets really drunk but only 3 or 4 times a month. Not 3 times a week like before. Which, man, I'm sorry, but for me it's still too much. I'm not spending my life with someone who does this. Today, she again arrived home drunk. She took some food for us. But again she was just drunk and I didn't want to be here. I just wanted her to go away, or me to go away. I told her that finally the moment arrived. I can't live with that anymore. I just can't. I tried talking with her, telling her how disappointed and sad it made me to see her like this. Telling her I really don't want our relationship to end, but when she's like this it just spoils everything else. I tell her I really do think it's not much to just decide not to drink too much. But it seems like it is to her. And the more times it happens, the more it annoys me. She again didn't say anything, and stared at me with those lazy empty foolish drunk and stupid eyes. I talked and talked. Telling her it was over, I couldn't stand it anymore. That if she had a solution please tell me what is it. Please tell me something that makes me think we can sort this out. She was going to say something, then she just cried again, started heavy breathing, stopped heavy breathing, took some water, went into bed, turned off the lights and went to sleep. She didn't say anything. She just went to bed, turned off the lights and went to sleep. Then I started to write this. It's been an hour and a half. I really hope someone reads it. At least it's a way of letting it all out. She's by my side now, and I hate her and love her so much at the same time. She's snoring too. So I can't sleep. Happens every time she's drunk. Anyway. What should I do? Should I really just break up? And it fills my body with sorrow to think of that. But for me it just seems like in that this situation is never getting better if there aren't some direct consequences to her actions. So. What should it do? Please Reddit, I really need some words right now. The love of my life gets drunk too often for my liking and I don't know what could make her change apart from direct consequences in our relationship. Should I just break up with her? Now for the top comments. I'm a recovering alcoholic, been sober just over 2 years. I'm in AA, I'm not religious, but this program works for me, and in therapy too. And on antidepressants. In my younger years I did the same thing when I went out. It was damn near impossible for me to not keep drinking because I was enjoying myself and that meant continuing to drink with my friends. I wanted that freedom too. It took me about 8 to 9 years before I got sober and got help. If you had asked me at the time if I was an alcoholic, I would have 1000% said no, this is just what people do. I didn't know that normies, like you, don't have the desire to keep going. Definitely talk to her about this when she's sober, she most likely will not remember what you said. She needs help and she can either start getting it, or you leave. Keep in mind though, she doesn't see this as a problem like you do. If she gets help, chances are it won't work until she recognizes that she needs it for herself. Next comment. You said something like you don't think it's a big deal that she stops, but she seems to. There are a few other comments talking about alcoholism, and she is most definitely an alcoholic without question. It is hard, if not almost impossible for her. This isn't me on her side, just trying to let you know that coming from an alcoholic, it's extremely hard to just not drink. The addict mind doesn't work the same way. Think like when you go out you feel fine stopping at 2 drinks, and have no problem with it. She sounds like the binge drinking type of alcoholic like myself. When we go out thinking about stopping at 2 is irritating in the very least. There's a level of drink we trying to get to that exists somewhere between 6 to 7, but it always ends up at 10 because once we start drinking we can't stop. I'm not saying not to break it off with her, but if you do care, try to make her understand that she's an alcoholic even if she's now only doing this a few times per month. I'd even suggest showing her these posts from people who have been down the exact path she's on. Show her so she can see other people's stories. If she can at least start to see her alcoholism, she might be able to get ahead of dying at 40. I lost a relationship because of alcohol that I'm still messed up about over 3 years later. She was in your position in a lot of ways, and we had plenty of talks about it. There would be good weeks, even months, but I always went back to alcohol. From that experience, I wish she would have come to me, telling me something like we're breaking up for the next 6 months, and she'll be my friend through getting into recovery then reevaluate our relationship after, but she won't live with it anymore. I think I probably would have went on a bender for a couple weeks until I really started to miss her then start to get into the deeply depressive place I was in for so long, but the difference would be the goal of possibly saving us at the end which would cause me to really try hard to make changes. It sucks that the decision is on you, it really does. She likely cannot make her own decisions right now though. I will say that there still isn't a single day that goes by where I wish I'd made a different decision, and I just recently got the chance to realize I'm nowhere near over it. Next comment. Sounds like she's miserable and drinking as her solace. If you consider her lazy, foolish and empty, I know you blame the alcohol but a drunk person is still the same person, then maybe you're miserable too. You say you hate her, also love her but whoa, so it's time to let this connection go surely? The hard thing about relationships is you don't get to tell someone else how to be. You accept it and you adjust your own behavior. It's not command and control, it's accept and adapt. Controlling behavior hurts both of you. Decide whether you want what you have, sounds like you don't, and act accordingly. Quit the rule-making and guilt-tripping. It sounds like you're hurting both of you with this approach which in all honesty also sounds foolish, lazy and empty. You can't make someone be who you want them to be. You can choose who you give your energy to. If you continue to push someone who has disregarded your previous requests by imposing yourself more strongly, you're straying into harmful behavior. Let it go. If she wants to change, she will. If she doesn't, the change she needs might be you. But this demanding judgmental approach is not the way. Next comment. Well, I literally said in my post that her drunk self is completely different to her sober self. It may be the same person, but the qualities and personality traits that are highlighted in each state are definitely not the same. I hate her because of her decision to keep alcohol on a higher standard than our relationship. But also I love her because of what she is and what she means to me. Not everything can be black or white. Especially in this kind of situations, I feel gray really defines what this whole thing makes me feel. And I don't think I have to accept people like they are. As an individual, I strive to be a better person, friend, partner and civilian. I don't expect the environment to adapt to my attitude or my introversy. But I do expect to take from the people I can learn from, e.g. my GF, to be a better person in areas where I can improve. I don't want her to be something other than herself, but a happy, sane, sober and better herself. For me it's not about controlling, but simply about learning to live and share a home together. I'm sorry but I don't see what I can take from your comment as good advice. Next comment. Break up with her. My ex and I were partiers when we were young, but she was never really hungover. When we had kids I stopped drinking. Got tired of hangovers, basically. Over the years there were some suspicious events with the ex that made me believe she was drinking much more than I thought. Most of it happened when I was out of town. Like she forgot to pick up our daughter from her friends one morning. Ex was passed out from being blackout drunk. Anywho, fast forward 10 years or so and I can tell it's becoming a problem. She gets this high-paying, traveling salesman job. If she calls when she's out of town I can tell she's been drinking. By now kids are 16 and 11. The 16-year-old knows something is going on. To make a long story short, if she wasn't drinking with coworkers she would go to a local bar alone when out of town. By the time I figured all this out she'd disappeared a few times and even a couple of homeless guys she would just stop at the beach to drink with. Lucky neither of us got VD or she got killed or killed someone. I got full custody and child support, but financially it was still tough. Unless your girlfriend goes through rehabilitation and accepts recovery it won't be a pretty road for y'all. My ex still drinks. She remarried the first guy she met after her third stint in rehab and they still drink beer. She's held a job and I guess is a functioning alcoholic, but something bad is liable to happen in the future. That's my story. I saw it. Thought we could fix it. It's gotta be all her. Next comment. I think your girlfriend is an alcoholic, and what is happening is that you keep expecting her to drink like a non-alcoholic. Like a normal person. So you ask her not to drink too much and she agrees because trust me she's probably not planning to drink as much as she ends up drinking. But the problem with alcoholics is once we pick up the first drink we can't stop. One is too much and 1,000 is never enough. So the only way your relationship can continue is either she gets sober and you stay with her, she doesn't get sober and you go to Al-Anon and decide whether you are going to leave or stay. To be honest I think you should visit an Al-Anon meeting. If you're anything like me you might be really hesitant to have to go to a place where they're strange people and listen to them talk about their problems lol. I was so hesitant to go to my first Al-Anon meeting. But it was like for the first time people were saying what I felt like inside with their outside voices. I thought my situation with myself and my husband was unique but it's not. You are caught in a cycle of trying to control how she drinks and it is now affecting you and you are getting sick like she is. You need to go and get help just like she does. You don't have to talk at the meetings. You can tell people politely I am just here to listen. Good luck friend. I really hope you find a solution that gives you the kind of peace of mind you deserve. Next comment. Straight up, you are not enjoying everything the relationship is. You might like her sober, but she is also drunk a fair bit. She is not really meeting in the middle or looking to change, this is what she is offering. Either keep with and accept the things you hate or end it. Beyond she is nice when sober, is there anything else keeping you in this relationship? Does it give you more happiness than sadness in the current form? Personal, been there done that. She enjoyed being drunk, so did I. She enjoyed it a lot more and went there more. I liked being drunk with her, she liked being drunk. If I cut back a school night she still drank a lot. Work from home with a hungover person in the room over is annoying.